Great, Wei-Tai. Thank you, and welcome all. As Wei-Tai said, my name is Matt Bogosian, and I'm a volunteer at Climate Reality Project, leading our policy action leadership team. So if you're on this call, you're part of the Bay Area Climate Reality Project family. So first and foremost, welcome, and thank you for giving up your valuable time to make a meaningful difference to confront the climate crisis. So you need no experience to participate in these activities we're going to talk about tonight. So we're looking forward to everyone pitching in. So to get started, I'm going to read two recognitions that are important always, and especially during this time. The first is a recognition to the lands we inhabit. And for this, I want to thank Alma Beck, one of our chapter members, for the reminder of the importance of these kinds of recognitions and this kickoff language. So here we go. In honor of the original peoples of this land and their generations of understanding and connection to the land, water, air, and all things alive in this place that we currently occupy, we acknowledge the Ohlone here in San Francisco and the many other tribes in every region around the greater Bay Area. We do this land acknowledgement to help remind ourselves of the oppression of indigenous people and its connection to the climate crisis, and we're informed by the experience and leadership of indigenous people, past, present, and future, as we seek and build long-term solutions to our global climate crisis. Thank you. And now this second recognition is to make clear where Climate Reality Project Bay Area stands on racial justice. And for this, I turn to the words of Ken Berlin, who leads the entire Climate Reality Project for former Vice President Al Gore across the world. The Climate Reality Project stands in solidarity with those demanding justice for George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and countless other lives lost to systemic racism, white supremacy, police brutality. Yeah. We recognize that these are not isolated incidents, and as an organization fighting for climate justice, we have a responsibility to speak out against systemic racism and work with other partners to help dismantle systems of white supremacy that perpetuate violence and harm against people of color. There can be no climate justice without racial justice. There's more to that statement. You can go to the Climate Reality Project and read Ken Berlin's statement. So I wanted to do that at the outset, and with both of those recognitions to inform our work tonight. We have lots of good, hard work ahead of us. So it's great to be working together. So we have a big agenda. So let's go to the next slide, if we can, and get started. So let's see if you can get the agenda up on the screen. That would be great, Amelia. Thanks so much. Okay. First, as you can see, I'm going to give a nutshell on our history. Then we're going to showcase some past successes around our policy action. Then we're going to explain our plan for tonight. And then the big part is really the breakout. That's the exciting part where every one of us will get to meet with one another in our own county jurisdiction to form squads. And then we'll reconvene at the end, see how it went, and wrap up. So that's the basic outline of where we are and where we're headed. And so we can get started. So let me start off with a little bit of history so we can go to the next slide on our chapter. So we have this thing called a policy action team, leadership team, and you know, we're all volunteers. Some of us have been to former Vice President Gore's Climate Reality Project training, and some of our volunteers haven't. It doesn't matter. We all want to help carry out the main goal here of the Climate Reality Project, and that's to educate our fellow citizens about the climate crisis, the scope of the challenges, the scope of the opportunities. And that means many of our chapter activities are focused on giving presentations to groups of all kinds using Mr. Gore's constantly updated Inconvenient Truth PowerPoint slides. So as that important continuing educational work goes on, some of us in our Bay Area chapter thought it'd be a good idea to add to that work by creating a subgroup for chapter members like you who might want to work together to influence policy changes at local governing bodies directly, you know, like city councils, boards of supervisors, school boards, etc. So we called our subgroup the Policy Action Leadership Team. And all of us on the team have some kind of climate policy or political or activism experience. So about 18 months ago, we worked up a plan and started to try it out, working with chapter members to help them approach specific governing bodies to propose meaningful greenhouse gas reducing policy changes, and then have them make those changes by a date certain. So we made the goal of doing all of that within 90 days for each of these squads. And there's a lot more to the history, but the bottom line is we got off to a good start. We had some in-person policy action boot camps that we called it, where we formed squads in different Bay Area counties. And you're going to hear from our former chapter president, Wei Tai, who opened us up there in a minute. He's going to talk about some of those good efforts. But as 2020 rolled around, we thought, okay, we're off to a good start. Let's try encouraging our policy action squads to focus on one particular policy action to see if that tactic would create a synergy, to get more policy change sooner. So in early 2020, we selected building electrification as the policy area we hoped many of our squads will work on. And in February, we had a great in-person gathering to inform ourselves about the substance of the policies that we would be seeking to change at our local governing bodies. The Sierra Club was there, their paid staff, that do so much good work. They gave us a great presentation, gave us a good set of materials that could help our squads demand meaningful action at policy, at governing bodies in their jurisdiction. So then we were getting ready to have another in-person policy action boot camp when, as we all know, COVID-19 hit. So, we adjusting our plans to, account for the change of the landscape. And each of our squads that have been doing earlier projects, they're responding differently, some slowing down very much so, others moving forward. And so we decided, let's reinvigorate the policy action squads in this new world we have. And so tonight, this is it. We're doing this completely virtual policy action night. So this is that meeting, and our hope is by the end of this meeting tonight, you'll be on your way to making a real policy difference in your county. So we're calling this the Build Back Better effort, right? So focusing, there's as we've learned in the Climate Reality Project and otherwise, there's 4 key areas to meaningful greenhouse gas reduction policy changes, and one is around the buildings. How we heat them, cool them, operate them. We have to lead the way in doing all we can to drastically reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So building electrification is one of those super important areas. So we need to build back better, and this policy action get together is aiming at that. We want our squads to seriously look at bringing policy action petitions in 90 days in their local jurisdiction. Again, you need no experience. All you need to do is have the courage to join a squad in your jurisdiction and work collaboratively with those that you meet there in the squad and add the value the best way you can. That's what we're doing here tonight. So before I explain more about our plan tonight, I'm going to turn it over to Wei Tai, and he can share some examples about what our policy action volunteers and squads have done so far. So Wei Tai?
Yeah, great. So as we, thanks Matt for giving a background of what got us here to 2020. And one of the things we want to do is just look back at last year in 2019 when we started these initiatives for the very first time, and just give the group here an example of what we did last year. And the first example really is of one of our colleagues, Paul Bracken, who is a resident out in Pleasant Hill and works at Genentech. And Paul has attended the climate reality training before and decided that after having listened to a similar gathering like this last year, that he was going to try to do something over in Contra Costa County with the Contra Costa County squad. So he and a number of other individuals petitioned local governing bodies there for clean energy. And so let's take a look. We're going to watch him give many people gave speeches, but this one happened to be caught on camera. So let's watch how he does on his very first time ever speaking in front of a city council.
Honorable Mayor, council members, my name is Paul Bracken. I've been a resident here and voter in Pleasant Hill since 2005. I'm very proud to say I'm a citizen of Pleasant Hill. My wife and kids go to school here. My wife's the commissioner of the library, and I'm a volunteer soccer referee. I'm sure Matt will attest to that. This is the first time I've stood up here to ask for anything. I want to really show my support for this MCE initiative. My awareness of climate change and global warming goes back to the 80s when I was involved with the Planetary Society and Dr. Carl Sagan. To be honest, I'll admit that I thought we'd have more time to solve this problem. A lot of us felt that it was going to play itself out over a longer period of time. What we're seeing is that the effects of global warming are much more intense, and the speed at which these things are happening are much faster than what we expected. A lot of very sanguine and otherwise, sober minds are using terms now like existential threat, planetary catastrophe. They're not being flippant, right? This problem is likely to affect countless millions of lives around the world, with the displacement due to parts of the globe becoming unlivable. Here in California, we're already seeing more intense droughts, more intense floods. The wildfires, if I were to say that the wildfires that we've seen and the air quality issues that we've had are becoming the new norm, I'd be understating the problem. It's actually going to get a lot worse before it gets better. So these things all of these effects were related to the warming of the planet, which is due to what we've all been talking about here, the emission of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. It makes sense to do as much as we can right now. We can come back in 10 years' time. I'm sure we'll have new technology, but if we wait 10 years to start reducing emissions, we have almost unsurmountable problems at that stage. So we're excited. My daughter and I went down to LA a couple of years ago to meet with Al Gore and join his team to figure out what we could do about this. My kids are starting to ask me, what are you going to do about this problem? So to be honest, when people ask what can we do, this initiative here, we've looked into this. Right now for this city, this is a huge opportunity. I'm actually very excited to have as a city, the opportunity to adopt something like this so that we can, as a city, switch over to renewable forms of energy. It is not trivial by any means. The amount of carbon emissions that we'll reduce by making this decision is hugely significant, and I think it's a step that we can all feel good about. I think over the long term, we're looking at the cost of renewables coming down as well, so it's kind of a win-win. You're even letting people opt out as well if they wanted to do that. So to me, it's something to be excited about, something that gives us something to be hopeful about. We can take an immediate step to move away from the burning of fuels that contribute to this problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And so, as Paul said there, he's never spoken at a city council meeting before. That was his very first time. He did a good job, huh? Not bad for a novice there, but I think it really goes to show what we can be doing when we take this opportunity to raise our voices. And so that was one example of the initiative we did over in Contra Costa, where we again petitioned Orinda, Pleasant Hill, Antioch to get clean energy, community choice energy, in this case MCE, by June 30th, 2019. I want to just highlight one other initiative that the San Francisco County squad worked on last year, and that was with Dave Rohde, who championed an effort to target the Golden Gate Bridge Transit Authority to pass the climate emergency resolution last year. Now, Dave had also never really been active in civic activism before, but he loves the outdoors and he loves biking. And he was sort of angry that the Bridge Authority was sort of restricting bicyclists on the bridge, and also that those Golden Gate ferries were spewing so much diesel fuel. And why was that the case in a leading area like the Bay Area that we would make this happen? So he personally took it upon himself to educate what was going on with the Golden Gate Bridge Transit Authority. He started going to meetings, and then he started dragging other of us climate reality people to the meeting to help testify. He got 10 people to go to a key meeting back then in order to petition and ask that Golden Gate Bridge Authority to raise the level of urgency on climate, and in fact to pass and consider and pass a climate emergency resolution. And the good news is that started the effort probably in May and through the summer, June, July, August. By finally in October, the district, and this was the resolution of the emergency declaration, look at how it got signed. Again, unanimously 16 votes yes, 0 notes against, and what a great success to see citizen activism happening through our efforts like that. So thanks again, Dave. Dave will be joining the San Francisco squad breakout session a little later. So let me turn it back to Matt to get back to talking about 2020.
Awesome, Wei Tai. Thank you for that rundown on our early successes. And so, yeah, here we go, right? The virtual policy action. Let's talk about the plan for tonight and the next 90 days. So the plan is for each of you to join a virtual squad breakout session for your county. And we're going to do that breakout in a few minutes. There'll be a breakout group for each of the 7 counties with a moderator who will help facilitate the conversation. The main objectives during the breakouts are to quickly introduce yourselves to one another and have a short discussion about the possibilities for taking a 90-day policy action challenge at a local governing body, and then commit to working together to take next steps. There's no way, like in such a short session that we have tonight, that everything's going to get decided. So tonight is just the start, but we're looking for that, commitment to take the next step. And your moderators will be asking for that and reporting out at the end, as we said in the agenda. They're going to report out at the end about how many in your group will take that next step, organizing and attending the next meeting, however you guys work it out, to take next steps on the policy action asked at a local governing body by a date certain. So our moderators will introduce themselves in your breakout session. They're all volunteers like yourself, but they've been active already in many activities doing some of these policy action activities. So each squad will have the benefit of some policy action checklists and tip sheets that our policy action leadership teammates have put together. Especially I want to call out Leslie Alden and Steve Summers for their great work in putting together the 4 checklists so far. And the first one you see on your screen there, you can start putting it to good news tonight, right? Getting to know your team, who can do what, skills, experience. That'll be part of your introductions, and your moderators will help you navigate that. So we're going to start that in a second. And you might be wondering to yourself, okay, we're focusing on local governing bodies, and that's cool, but what about state and national governing bodies? Well, the reason our chapters decided on focus on local governing bodies, because that's really where the rubber meets the road. I mean, bottom-up change has always been a key piece of making a meaningful difference in most kinds of change in America. And so we need to do a way better job of exercising our democratic muscles to make the changes we want to see in the world. And so that's so true in this case too, in the climate crisis. So we have a short video by Will Grant to emphasize that point. So Wei Tai, can you turn that on and we'll check that out.
In terms of a lot of social change, and especially in relationship to the environment, I think of what I call the 4 levels of action. The first is individual action. The second is action with my friends and family, the folks I'm directly connected to. The third is community and local institutions. And the fourth is the economy and policy change and changing laws. And so, in the environment, level 1 is, I recycle, I use less, I drive less. Level 2 is I get me and my family to do that. And maybe I put solar panels on my roof, and maybe I join a community-supported agriculture, a CSA. Level 3 is that's when I start to do things like change the way the schools that I'm connected to, right? The way that I change my workplace, that maybe I organize in my town, right, to start moving towards a community solar array, or that I start to, I go into the industries that I work in and I make changes. And the idea for level 3 for me is the place where it's at the level of institution and groups, but where I'm still known as a person. you know? And so the example, and the other model that I give for level 3 is, if I can get in touch with a person who's in charge within about a week and get a meeting, that's what I would consider to be about level 3. Like with some work, I can get a brief meeting with the mayor of my town, right? And then level 4 is, like I say, policy. It's change the law. It's write your congressperson. It's boycott this product. And the environmental movement, I think, in a lot of ways has given the message that's been at level 1 and level 4, right? Change individual actions, or sign this petition, lobby this person, right? And the thing is, I think our greatest impact is actually at level 2 and level 3, and especially level 3. And the reason that I say that is, if I change a local institution or something that I'm involved in, I'm not just impacting my life, I'm impacting the lives of hundreds or maybe thousands of people. I'm also changing an institution, and then other institutions can take a look at that and take the model for that change. So an example is, like say I get the local school to put solar panels on their roofs. I can actually get that done. That's a project that I can see through beginning to end in a year or two. And I can talk to all the people who are involved in it, and I can figure out the economics of that, like how much would it save and how much would it work and what would the cost be. I can organize and create a coalition to get it done, and I can do this part-time. I don't have to do this full-time. But the conversation that I get to generate at the school is a big piece of the change, right? That the conversation with the principals and with the students and with the PTA is as useful as the change itself. And we're getting into this idea of, oh, we could do something about this. And then when the solar panels go up, then that means all of the other schools in the neighborhood or in my city have to go, why don't we have solar panels? I mean, this school did it. And so that's a level of a change that I think that we ought to be focusing on. And I think specifically with drawdown, like there's these 100 solutions that are named in drawdown. And the question is, how are they going to be implemented? But one of the things that the project did is that they looked at projects that were happening at what I've heard Paul Hawkins call from the middle out. Not just from the grassroots up, not just from the top down, but from most of those changes were organized by people working at level 3.
I think that's it, Matt.
Great, thank you, Wei Tai, and thank you all. We're getting very close here to our big part of the night, so I'm excited about that. And let me turn that over to you, Wei Tai, to talk about our breakout groups.
Okay, great, thank you. So we want to break out into 7 groups now. So we've got about 70 some people on the call here, and we've got Amelia, who's has pre-assigned us. I think mostly we should be able to get into groups by county, which is a little more challenging than we'd actually normally struggle with, but hopefully you'll all end up in either one of these 7 groups. And we're gonna have, what's gonna happen when you're in that group? Well, you're gonna have a volunteer facilitator in each group. We encourage everyone to participate and offer up your thoughts in the group. If you got anything noisy like dogs barking or babies crying in the background, please mute yourself in the background so to help get a better discussion going. And definitely raise your hand, like, either like this or digitally, if you know how to use that in Zoom, to let the facilitator know that you want to be called on. But we're going to break out for 35 minutes, and you're going to get a 10-minute warning before the end of it. And when we do all come back, we have a special treat for you, actually. That's a little bit of a surprise treat for us all. And then we'll do a quick report back and ask each of the volunteer facilitators to spend 60 seconds recapping what happened in your group. Then we're going to adjourn for the night. So, yep, hopefully in those groups, we're going to have the facilitators take it from there. Let me just see if this is going to work here. Do you guys see my screen there? It says 60-second reports from the breakout room conversations. So I would like to just call on San Francisco and Marin and Alameda. Let's go in that order. And let's go those 3 first. And if somebody from San Francisco could give us just a 60-second report Tell us how many people were in your breakout room, how many people were willing to participate in the 90-day action plan, as well as maybe 2 or 3 key points of discussion of what happened in your room. Who's from San Francisco? Unmute yourself and speak.
Hi, this is Helena. We had 10 people in our breakout room. We had a lively discussion with everybody interested in participating in different ways. And we were focused mostly on transportation and the linkage between emissions and health, particularly focused on the transportation sector, but it does also connect directly to the building sector as well, the emissions and health and the contribution to air pollution. So opportunities are to do education, as well as to continue with the projects we're doing and perhaps petition Bay Area Air Quality Management District regarding Spare the Air Days.
Thank you, Helena. Okay, how about Marin? Who's going to report back from Marin? Please unmute.
I'm Robin Mahler, and we had 18 attendees in our meeting, and 10 of them are going to participate in this 90-day action plan. It was a pretty exciting discussion. One of the most exciting things was that I think we're going to team up with Sonoma County for this issue, because there's a very active coalition of people there already. And they've run into some issues that we will no doubt run into as well. So we're really excited to have their help. We have a number of subject matter experts available to us, and we've got experienced people and new people, and we've got a party guy. So I think we're in pretty good shape for getting started. I'm pretty excited about that. And our EV squad is going to stay in business. So we should be covering a number of different topics. Thanks.
I think
Robin, you didn't mention that the new issue is building electrification.
Oh yeah, the new buildings and buildings. Okay, hey, there you go. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Okay, let's do Alameda, and then we get Santa Clara County ready and Solano County after that, and then San Mateo after that. So Alameda.
Hi, I'll speak for Alameda. So I would say for us, we have a pyramid for which the base is very broad. So we have a lot of people. We had about 8 people in our group interested in a lot of different things, with a lot of interesting skills to contribute and interests in transport, a willingness to go with more mainstream, suggestions just as EV or electrification, but also quite a bit of interest in transport, extending, maybe leveraging, building on things that are happening that are having a benefit on climate around COVID, and try to leverage that and extend that to tie that back into climate change, acknowledging the fact that governments currently may not be, local governments, as seeing climate change for the sake of climate change as much of a priority and the very immediate urgency. So trying to see how we can link our climate theme to things that already happen around other current crises in our country. Maybe looking at climate justice and things like that as well. So our intention, our plan is really to come again in a couple weeks to do our research on our own separately, investigate what opportunities and what is in motion, or what can be translated from one city to another, and then probably have another call in a couple weeks to narrow down a little bit our options, because our options are still very broad right now.
Thank you, Jean. All right, Santa Clara County, then Solano and San Mateo. Who's from Santa Clara? Who's from Santa Clara? Is Karen Nelson, are you reporting? You're on mute if you are. We cannot hear you.
Okay, how's that? Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now, thank you.
Okay, super, great, thanks. I'm Karen Nelson, and I'm chair of the Santa Clara County chapter, and we had a small group. We had 4 of us. We spent time getting to know each other and our interests. And in terms of the 90-day plan, we have Santa Clara's just in maybe a little different place. We have a pretty strong strategy that we've been working on for various policy-related issues for over a year. And so it's more about finding out how they might like to plug into our group's strategy that we are instituting, which is decarbonization is a big aspect of it. And the theme of our discussion was when it came to what to work on. Certainly, I saw interest in decarbonization, and also I think a theme that came up was how can we build better collaboration, and that is something certainly that I think our Legend Policy Committee has done a lot of, but we can continue to do more of that. So I think the next step for us is just to get together one-on-one with everyone and continue the conversation about where they might like to plug into what we're doing.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Karen. Let's go up to Solano County. Is it Bonnie Hamilton?
Yeah, Highway Ty. Thank you, everyone. So there were 9 people in our group, all agreed to a 90-day action plan. We are going to focus on the preservation of green space, as well as solar for government buildings and schools, as well as microgrids for energy resiliency. We decide there are 2 new city managers, one in Fairfield and one in Vacaville. So we're going to reach out and meet with those people. I'm going to do a follow-up email with the summary, and we will prioritize. We'll meet in 1 to 2 weeks and prioritize at that time the low-hanging fruit and the most timely thing, and then we will move into other things because I think we can do all of them. And also we want to work to engage young people as well as people of color. We noticed in our breakout group, we're all white old folks. And that we also want to have a heavy emphasis on climate justice throughout everything we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie. Let's go to San Mateo. Who's going to speak for San Mateo?
Highway Ty, this is Brett Walter. So I will speak for San Mateo. Thanks to you for putting me up to it.
Thank you.
So there were 5 of us in our conversation. I thought we had terrific chemistry as a group, very diverse though. I mean, everybody is involved actually in a lot of different ways. One of us through her art, another one through, public demonstrations, and interests were quite varied. We have a general view that San Mateo is really well along with its climate activities. So there wasn't an obvious place to go without at least having to do more research, right? Because we don't know. We had a sense that maybe some of the communities within San Mateo County might be lagging a bit, but we don't know which those communities are or in what regard they're lagging. So there wasn't an obvious way to dive in, but everybody does want to do something. The one thing that we all agreed on was that the one thing the others all agreed on was they wanted to see the climate app that I'm developing, and I was happy to, say yes. I mean, I'd love to get their input because it's a very talented group of people, and I'd love to get their input on that. So I think good things will come from San Mateo. Waitai, I just don't know what it is quite yet.
All right, thank you for having the discussion. That's what tonight's about. Let's go with Contra Costa County. Linda Deschambault, would you like to speak for us? Are you still on the line?
Sure, I am. How many people did we have?
We had 13 people.
We had 13 people. Pretty excited about that. We discussed the 90 days we've done in the past, and we got a few new ideas. One that came up a few times was about transportation, particularly getting transportation to where it's needed, not just in the wealthy home corridor, but getting transportation and getting the things that are needed to the communities that need them. We've looked at maybe doing things with general plan updates, everything from energy and a few other things. And we've all agreed that we would like to meet again a week from today at the same time. So because we had a big group, it was kind of hard to give everybody all the airtime they needed. And I think we're looking forward to getting to know each other better next week.
Thank you. Thank you, Linda. All right, that's great. Good to hear we had such good conversations. I want to say that, Matt, are you back on? Can you hear me? If so, chime in. I cannot hear you.
Matt, you're muted.
I'll unmute you to see if that helps. Go ahead, Matt. Can you hear?
I'm on my phone. Wait, Ty, can you hear me?
We can hear you now. Very good. Okay.
Okay,
So,
yeah. I had to call back in. Yeah, so.
Okay, well, while you're getting ready there to sort of close out the session, let me just say that the little treat that we wanted to do, you know, at Climate Reality, we obviously deal with a very serious subject of climate change, but we also like to have fun with each other because it turns out that all of us, while we work on climate on the one hand, we have secret hidden talents on the other. And tonight we have a musician and a music writer who actually wrote a tune about climate, who is going to perform for us on the acoustic guitar. This musician has performed on Earth Day concerts on the Mall and has, if you know, performed in San Francisco on Earth Day. So some of you may already get it, who it is. So with that, I would like to tell you who our special entertainer, who will entertain you just for a few minutes tonight, is our very own Matt Bogosian with his acoustic guitar. Take it away,
Okay,
Matt.
thanks, Wei Tai. You all know Wei Tai. He's a pretty persuasive guy. So here's the shot. This song is called Blinded Spots. We have a lot of blind spots, of course, and that's what it's about. And it relates to, you know, the climate crisis, systemic racism, etc. So here we go. Bigger, big, we build our business, daring to make a difference. To our deeds inducing difference, time to ask ourselves. Stepping round so many hurting, fellow citizens deserting, our inaction so disturbing. Look away with blinded eyes. Blinded spots on our many decent souls can only weaken us every step we go. Time to ask, can't we do some more, or else it weakens us, the more that we ignore. Blinded spots weaken us deep inside our soul. When easy answers aren't apparent, avoiding action is inherent. Till more of us can find the daring just to try and try again. How we tell ourselves we're thriving when we see our fellows dying. There's a cost to us denying painful truths on the street. Blinded spots on our many decent souls can only weaken us every step we go. Time to ask, can't we do some more, or else it weakens us the more that we ignore. Blinded spots weaken us deep inside our soul. Thank you. Thank you.
That was wonderful. Thank you, Matt, for writing a quick song for us and agreeing to entertain us a little bit. And I welcome
Yeah.
anybody else here with your hidden talents to let us know, and you can be featured in the future. But with that, Matt, you now have to go from fun to serious and just take us through this last slide, and then we're going to adjourn everybody.
Okay, well, hey, this is a great success, you guys. Thank you all for participating. So this is a little outline about where we're headed next. Okay, so we had this great kickoff today, and the next, week or two is squad meeting. So, hold a squad meeting, confirm your goal, continue the conversations that you started, and start to talk about next steps and what future squad meetings will be. Then we're shooting for, that'd be week 1 and 2. Then by week 4, we're asking the chapter squads to check in, and we're going to have a skills training. And Steve Sanders, who's on our policy action leadership team, will do a practical skills training on July 9th. So that will be very cool. And then we'll do it again in week 8, a month later, on August 6th. As you keep working on your policy action challenges. And then week 13, we'll have a final reports back and a check-in meeting then. So that's the basic outline of our 90-day challenge. We're off to a good start. You've got your squad leaders, and now you've gotten to know each other. And so we're thankful that you participated, looking forward to next steps, and onward.
All right. Well, that's it. Thank you so much. We're, just in time, a little before 8:30. We were trying to let everybody off early. Appreciate it. And the next step, you'll be hearing from your squad leaders or from us more broadly in about a month from now. So thanks again. And any hidden talent, remember to look me up. See you all later.
Hey,
Bye.
Matt and Wei Tai, can you get that scheduled to us?
Yes, we'll send that around.
Absolutely. Yeah, Wei Tai.
If you could put
thanks
the
for
slide
staying
back
around.
on.
We have a detailed proposed 90-day calendar. So we can distribute that sheet.
Yeah,
also,
July
Wei Tai.
9th, August 6th, September 10th, all around 7 p.m. after work would be our target times for 1 hour sessions, not an hour and a half like today, just 1 hour